Hey YouTube, it's Eric. I got a late night video for you here tonight. I'm going to try to keep it fairly quick. I just want to point out a very interesting fact that isn't well known and isn't brought up a lot. And this ties into the Catholic domination of the Supreme Court, where you have seven of the nine Catholic justices, or seven of the nine justices being Catholic. Neil Gorsuch, who's openly Protestant, was educated by Jesuits at Georgetown Preparatory School. So he's the seventh Catholic. And the two Jewish justices on the U.S. Supreme Court, Elena Kagan and Stephen Breyer, have received the Stein Prize from Jesuit Fordham University. So virtually, the Catholic Church has a 100% monopoly on the U.S. Supreme Court, but officially they have about 78, 80%, which is compared to the 20% Catholic population in the U.S. This shows the grotesque influence of the Catholic Church in American politics. The current president of the United States, Joe Biden, is Roman Catholic. The current vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris, is a secret Roman Catholic, educated by the Jesuits in law at the University of San Francisco, where she was the district attorney. While she was the DA, she covered up for Catholic pedophile priests there in San Francisco. And that's why she's currently the vice president. Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, if I'm pronouncing that right, is currently a professor at Georgetown University. Let me just get that, guys. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, Doug Emhoff. That's the current vice, or the vice first husband, Doug Emhoff, or they call him the second gentleman. But the point being that the Catholic Church has a massive influence in American politics, and they, in terms of, and again, they control non-Catholic politicians as well. But in terms of the political landscape in the U.S., the Catholics have a majority in virtually every branch of government, and this is pointed out here it's pointed out in this Jesuit article here from the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities' own website, just how much influence they have in the U.S. Congress. They're actually they have over 1,430% over influence in the U.S. Congress when you consider that there are 3,982 degree granting colleges in the United States, 3,982 of them. 28 of those are Jesuit. So 28 out of 3,982 colleges in the United States are Jesuit. That gets you 0.007. If you do 0.007 times 1,430, you get roughly 10, about the 10% Jesuit influence in the Congress. And you see here from the website from the Jesuit website, for third consecutive session, 10% of Congress are Jesuit educated. And you see here, and this is how the Jesuits concentrate their alumni also in terms of in the positions of leadership, and this is pointed out here in this article. But again, so 1,430% overrepresentation for the amount of Jesuit schools that are in the United States compared to the total amount of degree granting universities in the United States. Because it's a given that if you're going to be in the United States Congress or any government official for that matter, you're going to have a college or university degree. But we start here from this article. For the third consecutive session, the Jesuits in Congress are over 1,430% overrepresented. So for the third consecutive session, Jesuit educated alumni comprise 10% of Congress. There you go. Think of the current Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Actually, Nancy Pelosi isn't officially a Jesuit alumni. She's a Roman Catholic. Her husband, Paul Pelosi, is on the board of directors at Jesuit Georgetown University. Nancy Pelosi's had Jesuit priests speak numerous times in the People's House, quote unquote, in the U.S. Congress. I have videos of Pelosi kissing up to the Pope on my channel. You can see a photo of Nancy Pelosi kissing the ring of Pope Benedict XVI. This article here, interesting from WikiLeaks, shows how Pelosi and the Catholic Church are in tight with communist China. Very interesting reading. Yeah, but here's a photo here of the Jesuit priest Stephen A. Privet, S.J., giving invocation at the opening of the 110th Congress and swearing in Jesuitist Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. This is back in 2007, January 4th. There's Jesuit Stephen Privet right there in the center. And of course, here you got the two Roman fasces, symbols of fascism right here with the Roman reef symbolizing. You got the fasces also on the mace of the United States House of Representatives. Up on the second level, you got the plaques of Pope Innocent III and Gregory IX, the popes of the Dark Ages and the Inquisitions. On the front doors of the U.S. Capitol building, you have the statuette of Pope Alexander VI, Rodrigo Borgia. Then you got the statues of Jesuit priests Eusebio Kino and Father Jacques Marquette right there in the United States Congressional Hall. Again, so this article is just pointing out strict Jesuit people, congressmen and senators that went to Jesuit schools. They control all of the congressmen and senators in the U.S. Congress, and the Catholics, I believe, have a 30% open. 30% of the representatives are openly Catholic, which is the most out of any religious group in the Congress. Again, this article, though, is just talking about Jesuit alumni. So 55 graduated from Jesuit schools and universities, 13 in the Senate, and 42 in the House of Representatives. Of the 55 alumni, 3 were elected in 2020. Representatives Mike Garcia, a Republican from California, Jesuit Georgetown University, Chris Jacobs, a Republican from New York, Jesuit Boston College, and August Pfluger, a Republican from Jesuit Georgetown University. So look at this. Jesuits are putting in lots of Republicans into the current Congress. We read here, a fourth new alum, Senator John Ossoff, a Democrat from Georgia, went to Jesuit Georgetown, was elected in 2021 and sworn in on Wednesday, January 20th. Date of 201 numerology. That's the date when Jesuit priest Leo Donovan S.J. gave the invocation at Roman Catholic Joe Biden, his presidential swearing-in ceremony. We should continue here. This is a very important part here. Jesuit educated members are well represented in leadership positions in both the Senate and the House. I'm going to repeat that there. Jesuit educated members are well represented in leadership positions. Of course, the Jesuits want to get control of the leadership positions because it's in the leadership positions that dictate the policies. In the Senate, Senator John Barrasso, a Republican from Wyoming, Jesuit Georgetown, serves as chair of the Senate Republican Conference, while Senator Richard Durbin, Democrat, Illinois, Jesuit from Georgetown, serves as Democratic whip. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat from Nevada, went to Jesuit Gonzaga, serves as chair of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. In the House, Representative Steny Hoyer, Democrat from Maryland, from Georgetown, serves as Majority Leader, and Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York, Georgetown, serves as the chair of the House Democratic Caucus. So would you look at that? So you see this Jesuit alumni concentration on the leadership positions. And again, they control all the leadership positions in the United States. All you got to look at is here's the Jew, Chucky Schumer, Senate Majority Leader of the United States Senate. The United States Senate based off of the Roman Senate. It's right on the website. The United States Senate has the Roman fasces right on the logo. See right here. E pluribus unum, 2 Roman fasces. So it's based off of the Roman Senate. America is the modern Roman Empire. You see right here. You see the Jew, Chucky Schumer. And again, the Jesuits don't need to have all just Jesuit alumni in leadership positions when you have Jews like Chucky Schumer. So look at this. So here's a video of Chucky Schumer kissing up to the Jesuit order at the Jesuit Regis High School in New York. That's one of the schools where coronavirus started. St. Anthony Fauci, Mr. I Am Science, Anthony Fauci, went to school.
So we were lucky enough to have one more speaker tonight who is a huge supporter of Regis, and I'd like to
Oh, he's a huge supporter of Regis, the Jew Chucky Schumer.
welcome Senator Charles Schumer to the stage.
Thank you, Artie. And to Father Judge,
The Jesuit Father Judge, my puppet master,
distinguished clergy here,
the distinguished clergy, the Roman Catholic Jesuits and archbishops,
the great faculty, the guests, and most of all,
bishops,
the most distinguished group of alumni, or at least most distinguished looking group of alumni I have yet addressed.
the most distinguished group of alumni I have ever addressed. He's speaking at the Jesuit High School in New York City. It tells you everything you need to know. He's total fraud and puppet of the order.
Now, I am honored to be here. I am honored
to be here.
Because Regis means so much to all New Yorkers.
Regis means so much to all New Yorkers.
For decades, for centuries, New York,
Roman Catholic Mayor Bill de Blasio is destroying New York right now with the VAXX mandates.
and America
Probably being advised by the Jesuits at Regis High School and Jesuit Fordham University and Fordham Prep.
distinguished by ladders up. What we say to people.
Yeah, he's speaking at Regis High School. This is what Anthony Fauci attended this high school in New York, as well as the former Secretary of Commerce in the Trump administration. What was the guy's name? Herbert Ross. Guy's like a billionaire. What was his name? Wilbur Ross. He also went to Jesuit Regis High School in New York. It's a very prominent school here, and this is the school here, Jesuit Regis. This is where Chucky Schumer is speaking right now. New York. There's multiple Regis schools. When you type in Regis High School, New York, here it is here. Private Jesuit secondary school of Roman Catholic boys located in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Ranked as the top Catholic high school in the U.S. by Town and Country magazine. It's been rated the #1 top Catholic high school numerous times by Niche.com. Lots of notable alumni here. You can see on the screen. I recommend you check that out. All sorts of connections to all sorts of facets of society. Business, law enforcement, politics, journalism, diplomats, congressmen. So I recommend. There's the alumni list here. Joseph McShane, the current president of Fordham University. He went there. Jim Scudio, he's the CNN's current national security analyst. He went to Jesuit Regis High School. And this ties in. I just put this on my community page. But a current CNN producer was just arrested on molesting children. His name was John Griffin. He was just arrested. He was a producer for Jesuit-trained Chris Cuomo's show, who went to Jesuit Fordham University while Cuomo was at CNN. And here's a tweet John Griffin did with Cuomo back in 2015, where he says, "Chris Cuomo says you can get me blessed by Pope Francis thanks to my giant baby head. Let's try it, shall we?" While he's doing the satanic devil horn sign there. Look at that. Looks like he's holding the Pope there also in his hand. And this guy is a child rapist, CNN producer. So, of course, he wants to get an audience with the Pope. Pope could probably, absolve him of all of his sins in his eyes. You look at that. The point being, Regis High School has a very prominent list of alumni. So I recommend you check that out there. Anthony Fauci also went here, Regis High School. But I just want to show you here, the point being that Jesuits control all of the top leadership positions in the US Congress. Doesn't matter if they're openly Jesuit alumni or not. You see here, Jewish Chuck Schumer is the perfect example.
People who come to America or who have lived in America. If you work hard, if you are dedicated, if you have good values, you can rise yourself up, raise yourself up and your families, and do great things. And for 100 years, Regis has done that. From the days when they took poor Irish immigrants who would be discriminated against by the then establishment of New York City and gave them the tools to establish themselves, to today, when people from all over the globe who live in New York.
Again, this established history. I recommend you read about how the Roman Catholics in New York City orchestrated the draft riots at the time of the Civil War.
Benefit from the great education, secular and temporal, that Regis provides. So I too would like to raise my glass. You don't have to stand up for mine. And hope you will raise yours, and hope and pray that God gives Regis 100 more years of creating great New Yorkers, great Americans, great Catholics. To read.
Wow, I'm very pleased. Did you hear that? Did you catch that there?
And hope and pray that God gives.
This is a Jew saying this. Again, Heinrich Himmler modeled the Nazi SS off of the Jesuit order. Take that in while he's saying this. The Catholic Church has murdered hundreds of thousands, probably millions of Jews throughout the centuries across Europe. You know, it was the Catholic Church which influenced the Nazi regime and Hitler, in particular, a Roman Catholic, in his persecution of the Jews.
Will raise yours, and hope and pray that God gives Regis 100 more years of creating great New Yorkers, great Americans, great Catholics. To Regis.
There you go. And here's another perfect example here. You see how much of a puppet the Jew Chuck Schumer is here. He's the current Senate Majority Leader in the U.S. Senate.
Xavier High School, others from Notre Dame, and they just begin to erupt in cheer, knowing that the pontiff is about to arrive. Behind me, I actually have Senator.
And you see the newscaster here at Xavier High School in New York City is another Jesuit high school there in New York.
Some of them from Xavier High School, others from Notre Dame, and they just begin to erupt in cheer, knowing that the pontiff is about to arrive. Behind me, I actually have Senator Chuck Schumer, and just really quickly, Senator, you have met the Pope twice.
Twice. Once on the good fortune. Once on the way in, once on the way out. On the way in, I just said how much I admire you.
How much I admire you.
Thank you. But on the way out, Senator Leahy and I were there. Leahy goes to him first, says, I'm the longest ranking Catholic, the longest holding Catholic in the Senate, and I admired your speech. I said to him, I'm not Catholic, and I just loved your speech.
And Patrick Leahy went to Jesuit Georgetown University, U.S. Senator from Vermont, Democrat.
Laughed, and all the Cardinals laughed. I'll remember that moment the rest of my life.
It's an incredible moment for New Yorkers.
He is an amazing man. He's
an amazing man. Speaking about Jesuit Pope Francis, his boss.
Soft-spoken and powerful, a holy man. He moves people to action by his words.
So that's what I'm saying. Who needs all Jesuit alumni when you have Jews like this? When you have Protestants like U.S. President George W. Bush, who said he saw God in the eyes of Pope Benedict XVI.
Everyone in Congress,
or quote Protestant Ronald Reagan, who was knighted as a Knight of Malta while being a sitting U.S. president in January 13th, 1989.
And the partisanship melted away.
Or you have quote Protestants like Lyndon Baines Johnson, who went to Jesuit Georgetown University, and after the Jesuits murdered John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson was sworn in on a Roman Catholic missile on Air Force One. But he's a Protestant, though.
Well, the excitement is growing here along Fifth Avenue. Senator Schumer.
My spine was tingling, and it's tingling.
My spine was tingling.
It's growing here along Fifth Avenue. Senator Schumer.
My spine was tingling, and it's tingling now. It's amazing.
Well, I think it's tingling for a lot of people here.
Wow.
Again, you guys, the excitement really is building here along Fifth Avenue. The Pope about to get on the Pope-mobile at any moment and make his way here along Fifth Avenue. He will be holding a Vesper service this evening, and everybody is just waiting for the moment to witness history.
Well, So again, the point being that the Jesuits don't need to have all of the congressmen and senators be from their schools when they control non-Jesuit alumni congressmen and senators, especially the key leadership positions like you see here with Chuck Schumer. But we continue here to the article. 11 Jesuit, and again, this is from the Jesuit website here that we're reading from. 11 Jesuit institutions are currently represented by alumni in the 117th Congress. Another point that I have videos of this on my channel, but you have to keep in mind also that Jesuit priests are routinely giving prayers in the US Congress at the House Pro Forma sessions. Jesuit Georgetown University, of course, has the most influence with a total of 28 alumni in the US Congress, in the 117th Congress, followed by Jesuit Boston College with 7. Of course, Jesuit Boston College has their annual Boston Conference that is run with the Federal Bureau of Inquisition, more commonly known as the FBI. 7 from Jesuit Fordham University, which has their ICCS annual conference with the Federal Bureau of Inquisition, commonly known as the FBI. 6, note Representative Tom Suzy, from Democrat from New York, is an alumnus of both Jesuit Boston College and Fordham. Representative Rosa DeLiro is alumni of Marymount College, which was later incorporated by Jesuit Fordham University. Jesuit Loyola University Chicago, Jesuit Marquette University, Jesuit St. Peter's University, Jesuit Santa Clara University, and the University of Detroit Mercy all have 2 alumni represented, while Jesuit Creighton University and Gonzaga University each have 1 alum. The 11th institution, the College of the Holy Cross, that's where Inquisitor Jesuit Anthony Fauci, S.J., attended, has 3 alumni, including Mark DeSaulnier. And this guy has some very interesting comments in this article here, a Democrat from California, who is re-elected to his 4th term in Congress last fall. So I'm just going to show you this guy here. He makes some very interesting comments. Congressman Mark DeSaulnier, U.S. representative from the state of California, went to College of the Holy Cross. Of course, being a Democrat, this guy's, a big gun grabber, all about, supporting the Pope's climate change hoax, the COVID tier fascism, excessive masking, you know what I'm talking about. Can you imagine? So DeSaulnier has he supports all of that. He was reelected to his 4th term in Congress last fall. In a new interview with the Association of Jesuit Colleges and Universities, Representative DeSaulnier discussed the personal impact of his Jesuit education at both Holy Cross and Cranwell Prep School, and that's no longer in existence, which was a former boarding school run by the Jesuits in Lenox, Massachusetts. The representative said, quote, and that's Representative DeSaulnier, "When people ask me how I got into politics, it's partially family. My dad had served in the Massachusetts legislature, and equally or more important, it was the Jesuits," end quote. I'm going to repeat that. So Representative DeSaulnier says, quote, "When people ask me how I got into politics, it's partially family, and equally more important, it was the Jesuits," end quote. In 2015, Representative DeSaulnier co-founded the Friends of Jesuit Colleges and Universities Caucus in the U.S. House with Representative Juan C. Vargas, a Democrat from California, a former Jesuit seminarian and graduate of Fordham. Of course, the current governor, California is a Jesuit stronghold, or a Jesuit fortress, I think is the better term. The current governor, Gavin Newsom, went to Jesuit Santa Clara University. Before Gavin Newsom, you had Jerry Brown, also went to Jesuit Santa Clara University and Jesuit Sacred Heart Prep School, where Jerry Brown was a Jesuit seminarian. And you can see photos of Jerry Brown and his Jesuit Cossack. He, of course, was good friends with Jim Jones, the psychotic cult leader, who I believe was an incognito Jesuit, or at least CIA operative. Representative DeSaulnier's focus on education and inequality were inspired by his Jesuit background and is seen through his service on 4 congressional committees, including the House Committee on Education and Labor. Representative DeSaulnier said, quote, "The things that are of interest to me are the things that we've seen in the last few weeks, were symptoms of, and in my view, and that's inequality and racism. How again? You should watch the video I just put up of DA from Suffolk County, Rachel Rollins, who is now going to be the federal United States Attorney from Massachusetts, as Jesuitess Kamala Harris gave the tie-breaking vote in the Roman U.S. Senate to make that possible. But Rachel Rollins, you see in the video, the last video on my channel from Fox 25 Business, she is a racist, black supremacist type. Essentially plays the race card in this. She threatens to arrest a Fox 25 reporter who is doing investigative journalism, and she brings up the race card in that confrontation. Definitely, she comes from the school of Michael Eric Dyson, professor at Jesuit Georgetown University, professional Jesuitical race hustler. The Jesuits are the masters at creating racial division, division in general within populations. Michael Eric Dyson says that black people cannot be racist. Only white people can. Rachel Rollins comes from this school of thinking. And you see just how much of a radical she is in that video from Fox 25. Of course, she got her master's degree at Jesuit Georgetown University. And that's something Tucker Carlson didn't bring up when he was exposing her on his show 2 or 3 days ago. Of course, because Tucker Carlson is a gatekeeper. Still gives out good information here and then, but by far does not tell you the full picture. He's there to give the illusion that there's some sort of opposition to the Jesuits' oligarchical schemes in the mainstream press. But again, Rachel Rollins, who will now be the United States federal U.S. attorney for the state of Massachusetts, who I think is a racist, went to Jesuit Georgetown University, was just sworn in or just approved. I believe that was December 8th that she was given approval. We see here, and then Representative Solonier says, and again, so the Jesuits, this is all Jesuitical doublespeak. The Jesuits are encouraging racist divides in America, and that's why they're supporting groups like BLM, which are there to do nothing but create racial division and dissension. All 28 universities, Jesuit universities, support Black Lives Matter. The Pope, Jesuit Pope Francis, came out and supported the BLM movement. All the founders of the BLM are, quote, trained Marxists. Karl Marx was educated and indoctrinated by Jesuit priests at the Friedrich Wilhelm Gymnasium in Trier, Germany, before he wrote Das Kapital. And it's the same thing with how like the Black Panthers were founded by Jesuit priest Eugene Boyle out of San Francisco, was one of the founders of the Black Panthers. And the Black Panthers were openly Marxists and communists, just like the Black Lives Matter. Again, so the Jesuits are encouraging racism in the country, not trying to stop it, as Representative DeSaulnier says. So then he continues, and then the third thing that sort of co-joins those is social media and technology, how we get information, how we pursue honesty. If you don't deal with inequality, we're going to continue to have these problems. Again, parroting the Pope's talking points from his encyclicals. But we continue here. When asked how Jesuit values can help Americans to become better citizens and neighbors to each other, the murder rates all across America, tons of big cities are having all-time high murder rates. Even just another wave of thefts that's personally affected, like my workplace here in London, Ontario, is catalytic converter thefts off of cars. They're up almost probably 400, 500% nationwide. In Sacramento County, they're up 1,500%. That's just catalytic converter thefts. And again, Sacramento, think of the word in Sacramento County, sacrament, the Catholic sacrament. Car thefts are up all across America. Murders are up all across America. Also, like violent crime, also the crime in general is up all across America. And that's we can thank the Jesuits for that. Just look at in the Jesuit fortress of San Francisco, you have Jesuit trained Mayor London Breed. Look at all of the looting that took place around Black Friday. Just it's incredible. Representative DeSaulnier said to be open-minded and to seek the truth. Those two things, I think, definitely the Jesuits are very good at. I think public service is very spiritual. I said this often. I think the House chamber is a sancta sanctorum of human evolution. And a Jesuit education has a lot that has impacted me in my belief system that what I do is not a job. It's not just public service. It's connected to God. He's ruling by the divine right of the Pope, just like how it was in the 13th century. We continue here. In addition to the 55 alumni from Jesuit colleges and universities who are serving in the 117th Congress, there are several who are graduates of Jesuit high schools. AJCU President Reverend Michael J. Granzini said, quote, "A hallmark of Jesuit education is service to others, and we are proud to see that commitment represented by the alumni of Jesuit institutions who serve in the House and Senate. We appreciate their leadership. We appreciate them being total puppets for our order and look forward to working with them. We appreciate them being puppets for our order and their compliance in the destruction of representative democracy in the 21st century and look forward to working with them during the 117th US Congress to bring in a worldwide system of digital technocratic fascism modeled off the Jesuit reductions in Paraguay in the 17th century." A little correction there. Just wanted to add that to Reverend Michael Granzini's comment. So here's a list of the 13 Jesuit senators in the U.S. Senate. You got Senator John Barrasso, Republican Conference Chair, went to Georgetown for his bachelor's and master's. You got Senator Bob Casey, Democrat from Pennsylvania, bachelor's from the College of Holy Cross. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Chair of the Campaign Committee, Democrat from Nevada, went to Jesuit Gonzaga University for her doctorate there. Senator Richard Durbin, Democratic Whip, Democrat from Illinois, elected in 1996, a bachelor's and doctorate from Georgetown there for Dick Durbin. Senator Mazie Hirono, Democrat from Hawaii, got her doctorate from Georgetown University. Senator Patrick Leahy, and of course you saw in the video, Senator Chuck Schumer said that he was sucking up to the Pope more than Senator Patrick Leahy, who is the longest serving senator in the U.S. Senate, elected in 1974, Democrat from Vermont, got his doctorate from the Jesuits in Georgetown, the same 1 year after the Kennedy assassination there in 1964, the same year that J. Edgar Hoover got his Sword of Ignatius Loyola for his great role in covering up the murder of John F. Kennedy. Senator Edward J. Markey, I have a video of this guy saying that YouTube and social media companies need to censor more posts off the internet. He got his bachelor's and doctorate from Boston College. I'll play that here quick, actually. It's like a little 7-minute clip or 7-second clip. Here's Jesuit-trained U.S. Senator Ed Markey, Boston College demands tech giants censor more. This is from October 2021.
Problem. The issue is not that the companies before us today are taking too many posts down. The issue is that they're leaving too many dangerous posts up.
There you go. Advocating a system of censorship, just like how the was operated in the Papal States in the 13th and 14th centuries. You got Senator Robert Menendez, Democrat from New Jersey, went to Jesuit St. Peter's University. Senator Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Arkansas, Jesuit Georgetown University, bachelor's degree. Senator John Ossoff, Democrat from Georgia, bachelor's degree from Georgetown. Senator Gary Peters, Democrat from Michigan, master's degree from the University of Detroit, Mercy. Senator Dan Sullivan, Republican, Arkansas, doctorate from Georgetown University. Senator Chris Van Hollen Jr., Democrat from Maryland, Jesuit Georgetown University. You see, you're 42 in the U.S. House of Representatives. So you get the point. But, I'll read some of them here. Representative Vern Buchanan, University of Detroit Mercy, Masters. Representative David Sicilian, Democrat, Rhode Island, doctorate from Georgetown University. Representative Henry Queller, Democrat from Texas, bachelor's from Georgetown University. Representative Rosa DeLario, Democrat from Connecticut, bachelor's from Marymount College, which was incorporated by Jesuit Fordham. Representative Mark DeSaulnier, who we've seen here, Democrat from California, bachelor's from the Jesuit College of the Holy Cross. Representative Debbie Dingell, House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee co-chair. A Democrat from Michigan, bachelor's and master's from Jesuit Georgetown. Got Representative Jeff Fortenberry, Republican from Nebraska, master's from Georgetown. Representative Louis Frankel, Democrat, Florida, doctorate from Jesuit Georgetown. Representative Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin, master's and doctorate, PhD from Jesuit Georgetown University. Representative Mike Garcia, Republican from California, master's from Jesuit Georgetown University. Representative Paul Gosar, Republican from Arizona, bachelor's, and he got his divinity doctorate degree from Jesuit Creighton University. So this guy could be could be an incognito Jesuit priest here, Paul Gosar. And the Republican governor in Arizona, Doug Ducey, was educated by Jesuits in Ohio. And then he ended up being the governor in Arizona after he was installed there by the Jesuits. Representative Trey Hollingsworth, Republican from Indiana, master's degree from Georgetown University. Representative Steny Hoyer, House Majority Leader, Democrat from Maryland, doctorate from Georgetown University. Representative Jared Huffman, Democrat from California, his doctorate from Boston College. Representative Chris Jacobs, a Republican from New York, his bachelor from Jesuit Boston College. Representative Pramila Jayapal, part of the quote progressive clique. And again, it's funny, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, literally, again, the Jesuits wrote it for her because she's a puppet that doesn't know anything about politics. I'm pretty sure she worked at, did she work at Starbucks even before getting into politics? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has an article penned by her supposedly in Jesuit America magazine. And the quote progressive wing of the Democratic Party is totally controlled by the Jesuit order. Jesuit trained Michael Harrington founded the Democratic Socialists of America. Michael Harrington went to the Jesuit University of St. Louis and the St. Louis High School, which is also Jesuit. You have Representative Hakeem Jeffries, chair of the House Democratic Caucus, Democrat from New York, master's from Jesuit Georgetown University. Representative William Keating, Democrat from Massachusetts, his bachelor and master's from Boston College. Representative Ann McClan Custer, Democrat from New Hampshire, doctorate from Georgetown University. Representative Ted Lieu, he's the House Democratic Policy and Communications Committee co-chair. He got Ted Lieu, Democrat from California, doctorate from Georgetown University. Representative Zoe Lofgren, Democrat from California, doctorate from Jesuit Santa Clara University. You have Representative Peter Welsh, Democrat from Vermont, got his bachelor from the College of the Holy Cross. Representative Philemon Vela, Democrat from Texas, bachelor from Georgetown University. Representative Juan Vargas, Democrat from California, master's from Fordham. Representative Lori Tran, Democrat from Massachusetts, bachelor's from Georgetown. Representative Tom Suozzi, Democrat, New York, bachelor from Jesuit Boston College, and he got his doctorate from Jesuit Fordham. Representative Brian Steele, Republican from Wisconsin, bachelor's from Georgetown University. Representative Greg Stanton, Democrat from Arizona, bachelor from Jesuit Marquette. Representative Adam Smith, Democrat from Washington, bachelor's from Jesuit Fordham. Representative Albio Sires, Democrat from New Jersey, bachelor's from St. Peter's University, which is Jesuit. Representative Mike Sherrill, Democrat from New Jersey, got his doctorate from Georgetown. Representative Robert Scott, Democrat from Virginia, got his doctorate from Boston College. Representative Michael Quigley, Democrat from Illinois, doctorate from Jesuit Loyola University, Chicago. Delegate Stacy Plaskett, Democrat from Virginia, got her bachelor's from Georgetown. Representative August Pfluger, Republican from Texas, got his master's from Georgetown. Representative Greg Pence, this is the brother of Mike Pence, who is also Mike Pence being also a Roman Catholic. We see Representative Greg Pence, Greg Pence, I believe, took Mike Pence's seat in Indiana. Or I believe Mike Pence, I know, was involved in Indiana politics. Representative Greg Pence elected 2018, bachelor's, Loyola University of Chicago, master's, Loyola University of Chicago. Representative William Pasquarel Jr., Democrat from New Jersey, master's and bachelor's from Fordham. Representative Jimmy Panetta. Is he related to Leon Panetta, Democrat from California? Got his doctorate from Santa Clara University. Jimmy Panetta is the son of former Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta. Wow. Leon Panetta's son is now in the U.S. House of Representatives. Of course, he went to Jesuit Santa Clara University, just like Leon Panetta. There's Jimmy Panetta. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch Matrix the Beast System put this together. This was a fantastic find. Look what Leon Panetta said about the Jesuits. He was the director of the CIA and the Secretary of Defense. He said, "I needed all of the Jesuit grace and blessing in order to survive in Washington." His son is now in the U.S. House of Representatives, and there's the Panetta Foundation, which acts as a money laundering operation for the Jesuits, much like how the Clinton Foundation does, or the Rockefeller Foundation, or the Thomas or the Levy Foundation. You know, the Jesuits started up Farmers Insurance. This would be like just like Jimmy Panetta. Jimmy Panetta will just be like Leon Panetta. His loyalty to the Jesuits dictates how he does his job.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to participate in this great graduation ceremony for the class of 2013. I am truly honored to be with you today. First of all, because I'm proud to be a Bronco. A graduate of both undergrad and law school. I needed all of the Jesuit grace and blessing I could get in order to survive in Washington.
There you go.
And a hell of a lot of Hail Marys.
That's exactly what Kamala Harris said at her speech at the Jesuit St. Ignatius Church there in San Francisco. You needed a lot of hell of a lot of Hail Marys. Kamala Harris said something very similar.
I want to tell you that Steve Schott, who was in the same class that I was in here at Santa Clara, we came here at, I think what could fairly be called a very different era. It was an all-men's school.
I see your comment there. Connections between Jim Jones and CIA is well documented. That's absolutely true. It's a very interesting fact that the U.S. Air Force with the CIA sent Jesuit-trained John Moscatelli from Jesuit St. Joseph's University to give the press conference down there in Guyana and also to give the official change of report that they discovered more bodies and that there were bodies discovered under other bodies, as if they didn't examine that the first time they did the examination from the Guyanese medical authorities. So it's very interesting, though, that they sent a Jesuit-trained operative, John Moscatelli, to do the cleanup crew for the CIA down there in Guyana.
This was...
Oh, you see here in Gematria, race war equals 33, Jesuit 33. What kind of reduction is that in? I'll have to look that up. Interesting combination.
Still pretty much a walled campus. There were no dogs, but there really were a lot of Jesuits around to make sure that we behaved.
There you go. There really were a lot of Jesuits around to make sure that we behaved. That's coming from the director of the CIA. You see here, his son now is in the U.S. House of Representatives, a Democrat from California, elected in 2016, got his doctorate from Jesuit Santa Clara University. So Jimmy Panetta is probably, is definitely a lay Jesuit, just like Leon Panetta. You see, you got Representative Jerry Nadler. He's the Jewish officially. We got his doctorate from the Jesuits at Fordham University. Nadler used to have a top leadership position in the House. He famously said that Antifa and Black Lives Matter haven't done anything violent. Said that on tape as they were burning down cities across America. He's the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Yeah, he still is. Current chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Gary Nadler, Jesuit puppet who got his doctorate from the order at Fordham University. Then you got Representative Stephanie Murphy, Democrat from Florida. We got her master's from Jesuit Georgetown in 2004. Representative Gwen Moore, Democrat from Wisconsin, got her bachelor's from Jesuit Marquette in 1978. And you got Representative Stephen Lynch, Democrat from Massachusetts. He got his doctorate from Boston College. So there's a list of all of the representatives. And you see that those representatives are 1,430% overrepresented in the United States. You see here, if you go to the number of colleges in the USA, you'll see that there are 3,982 degree granting post-secondary institutions in the United States, 3,982. So you got 28 Jesuit schools divided by 3,982. So if their Jesuit influence was proportional to the amount of schools in the United States, they should have 0.007% of congressmen in the U.S. be educated by Jesuits. But we see that there are 1,430% overrepresented. So that's how we get up to 10%. We get 1,430% overrepresented. And you're going to see something similar, like the Ivy League schools that the Jesuits in Rome control, like Harvard and Yale and Princeton, are going to have Brown University. They're also going to have a higher concentration of alumni in the U.S. House also. Harvard University invited pedophile Cardinal George Pell from Australia to give leadership advice to their business students just a few years ago. You have the head of Harvard's global health, public health policy, Paul Farmer, got the sword of Loyola from the Jesuits in 2013 from the Loyola Chicago, and he was an attendee at the Vatican Health Conference. But you see here that a lot of these, again, the Jesuits totally control both parties. I'm just going to, and that's just exemplified here in the standing ovation that the Pope received. Jesuit Pope Francis, when he gave his speech during a live session of Congress, September 24th, 2015. See the standing ovation. John Kerry, of course, current United States Special Envoy on Climate. He got his doctorate from the Jesuits at Boston College, and he was in the Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale University. They're all praising their boss. That's their boss right there. The same papacy that's fully gave support to the fascist dictatorships of Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, Ante Pavlovich, Francisco Franco, Antonio Salazar. You had the Roman Catholic priest, Tiso, Slovakia, Joseph Tiso, Roman Catholic priest. He bragged that he murdered more Jews than Hitler did. And look at, they're giving him a mass standing ovation in the U.S. House. Would you look at that? Unbelievable. Again, you have the symbols of fascism are right there in the U.S. House, behind where Pope Francis is speaking, the two massive Roman fasces. And then you have the mace of the House of Representatives, which is also a Roman fasces with an aquila on the top of the staff, or an eagle, Roman eagle. Strawman says Pope Francis made real estate transactions with the Bush family during the Enron scandal in Argentina. No, that's fascinating. I'll have to do more further research into that. I'm sure you noticed with the list that and again, so you see the Jesuits totally control both parties, but they had probably more Democrat puppets that are openly Jesuit trained and educated in the U.S. House and Senate than Republicans. It was probably I would say 65 to 35% Democrat versus Republican. And just in this last debate cycle here, the Jesuits actually had the debates for the Democratic Party take place at their own schools. Here's just a little 1-minute clip. Jesuit Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles actually hosted one of the Democrat Party debates, and that was on December 19th. Look at this. Jesuit LMU. See, the demon rats are, again, both are fully controlled by the Jesuits. The demon rats are fully, full out Jesuit control and, Marxism and it's kind of like a blend. It's kind of, well, I'd say it's more fascism because it's the blending of the state, like the state with massive corporate entities. And again, I would say fascism is the Jesuits' preferred mode of government over them all.
Tonight, the eyes of the nation and the world will be on Loyola Marymount University, and we show the world that at LMU, debate is in our DNA.
Debate is in our DNA. And again, just something to keep in mind with all these public officials who are being puppets of the order is that when they take an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution, that according to Jesuit morality, they can actually there's no intention of them to uphold that. You see here, according to the Jesuit Cardenas, this is from Theodore Greisinger's book, classic book on the history of the Jesuits. This is a post I put up over 3 years ago on my website titled Exposing the Repulsiveness of Jesuit Morality. The Jesuits say it is allowable to take an oath as well as unimportant unimportant matters without having the intention of keeping it. That's taking your oath to the United States Constitution as a public official, as soon as one has good grounds for so acting. To make use of words of double meaning and to falsely deceive the judge is allowable. To make use of words of double meaning and to falsely deceive the judge is allowable in certain cases. As Father Castropalis writes, quote, when one can only find a worthy excuse in concealing the truth, for instance, dissimulation might be necessary. Wow, would you look at that? Again, so then they get to the Jesuits. We see all the theft wave. I point out all the theft and the crime wave it's kind of unprecedented in the last, I believe, at least 30 to 40 years. We haven't seen crime statistics like this in the United States in that period of time. But the Jesuits, of course, say that there's nothing wrong with stealing and theft. We see here so much for the Jesuit teaching concerning the transgression of unchastity. Let us now hear what these pious fathers hold regarding the crime of theft. Father Pierre Aragon asks, quote, is it allowable for anyone to steal in consequence of the straits in which he finds himself? Answer, quote, yes. Yes, you're allowed. Yes, stealing is not a sin. Yes, this is allowable. Let it be either secretly or openly, but only when a man has no other means of meeting his wants. There must be no question of either oppression or robbery, because according to the rights of nature, all things are common property. You see, the Jesuits are Marxists. That's what the Jesuit current Black Pope Arturo Sosa said when speaking about how no country has the right to deny an illegal immigrant entry. It doesn't matter if the illegal immigrant has raped 500 children and is a serial killer. It doesn't matter. You're racist for wanting to keep him out because the land belongs to everyone, according to Arturo Sosa. So we have to let all Catholic illegal immigrants into our countries. Here's another Jesuit here. This comes from Father Benedict Schattler. When a needy person on account of sickness or lack of employment is not in a position to supply his wants by his own work, he has the right to abstract from the rich by secret or open force, by secret or open force, the superfluity of the latter. And then this is a famous Jesuit here, Anthony Escobar. He's one of their big moral theologians. Escobar says, quote, "Therefore, when thou findest a thief who has the intention to rob a needy person, thou must restrain him from doing so and point him to another rich person whom he may plunder instead of the needy one." Again, because the Jesuits they just get bored, robbing, lowly poor people. Where's the fun in that? The Jesuits want to go after the big booty. And the Theodore Geisinger, in this classic book, he talks about there's an amazing history of how the Jesuits made probably billions of dollars in Europe throughout the centuries, stealing wills from devout Catholic noblemen in Europe. It's fascinating. Jesuit Paul Gabriel says, quote, "A man may repeat the theft as often and as long as he finds himself in want. Also, a person is not at all bound to replace what from time to time he has taken, even when the total may amount to a very large sum." Wow. So again, so this is why I'd say America is falling apart. These are the Jesuit morals that your politicians are brainwashed by and are adhering to. Father Longuet teaches nearly the same thing, only in much more general terms, when he says, quote, "Is a man," and this is that goes for all, like my country here in Canada too. Like, this is worldwide. The Jesuits are running the show all across the world. Prime Minister here in Canada, Justin Trudeau, Jesuit trained at the College de Jean Brébeuf. "Is a man so poor and another so well-to-do that the latter is bound to assist the former? In this case, the destitute person may take the goods of the other without sinning and without being bound to restore them again, only he must do it secretly and not in an open way." There you go. Yes, again, so there's Jesuit morality there for you. And they have a 1,430% overrepresentation in the United States Congress. Well, and some dude says the stealing by wills by Jesuits documented in the book Moneta Secreta. Absolutely, and everyone should read this book here. This is a fantastic expose on the Jesuits, Moneta Secreta. It was written by a former Jesuit in the 16th century. And this book here talks about the secret councils of the Society of Jesus. This book here talks about how also the Jesuits will put lots of their wealth in the hands of private individuals. Think of Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. And the Jesuits do that to make their own wealth impossible to trace and track. Think of A.P. Giannini, the financier, millionaire, would be billionaire in today's dollars, adjusted for inflation. A.P. Giannini was a straw man for the Jesuits in founding the Bank of America. And according to Der Spiegel magazine, 51% of the startup money came from the Jesuits to start Bank of America. And then they made Giannini. He was made a Knight of Malta too. They blew up his wealth. He became a multimillionaire, but it wasn't really his wealth. He was just holding on to the Jesuits' wealth. Same thing with the Rothschild family in Europe. That's how the Rothschilds became so wealthy. They were bankers for the Vatican. And that's why in the Jewish Encyclopedia it says that the Rothschilds are the guardians of the papal treasure. But yeah, I think that's all for this one, guys. Absolutely, here in Ontario, Doug Ford is absolutely controlled by the Jesuits and the Catholic Church. He's a total fraud. Total fraud. Lock, step, and barrel with all of the papal dictates on COVID lockdowns and the WHO and the Jesuits, the Jesuit World Health Organization, which is now the Vatican, has a permanent observer status. World Economic Forum, Ford's policies here in Ontario don't differ at all from the puppet masters. Yeah, I think that's all for this one, guys. Peace and love, and I'll catch you on the next video, guys. Take care.